A group of African-American clergy members of Pentecostal charismatic denominations is defending Catholic Judge Amy Coney Barrett. In a letter, they say, in part, quote, "As Black Christians, we will not stand by in silence as our sister in the faith is persecuted for the political crime of her beliefs. Attacks on her Christian beliefs and her membership in a charismatic Christian community reflect rank religious bigotry that has no legitimate place in our political debates or public life." Joining me now on Skype is Andrea Picciotti-Bayer, director of the Conscious Project. Andrea, welcome back. Always so great to see you. Let's start with the topic of faith as it relates to this Supreme Court nomination. Judge Amy Coney Barrett has been mentioned, as the top contender to fill Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's seat. But it seems we're hearing a lot, if not more, about her Catholic faith than her professional qualifications. What's your reaction to that, and what do you make of it?
Well, Tracy, that's very interesting. I think first it's important to just know that Amy Coney Barrett is profoundly qualified for the position that she may be nominated for tomorrow. And just proof in the pudding is what she's done both as an academic and as a sitting judge on the Seventh Circuit. What's really a great opportunity is to talk about the ability of people of faith to continue to serve the public and live out their faith consistent with their duties and their obligations. And Judge Barrett is a perfect example of someone who's stayed in her lane as a judge and has adopted incredible skills consistent with a judge that she had worked for, Justice Scalia, before.
Andrea, what do you think that she would bring to the table as far as the High Court?
Well, I think first off is what I mentioned before, her profound commitment to concepts of originalism and textualism. And that's basically interpreting the Constitution the way that the founders intended and looking at our federal laws the way that they're written, applying the meaning as it's ordinarily understood of the words in our laws. So I think that that's the first really important part of what she brings to the table if she's selected to be on the bench. The second is she's got incredible maturity. She's been doing this for a long time, both as an academic and, as I mentioned before, sitting as a judge on the appellate courts. And she also, a third part, I think she brings an incredible maturity that comes from her personal life. And we see her role both as a mother and as a spouse being something that's an added contribution, something that Justice Ginsburg also brought to the table and spoke about very importantly and eloquently during her time on the bench.
Andrea, as we watch this process, play out, I want to talk a little bit more about a piece that you wrote on what you call the dangers of applying litmus tests in selecting judges. First, can you talk about what the dangers are and, in your opinion, what factors should be taken into consideration when picking a nominee for the Supreme Court?
Absolutely. There's such a temptation to want to ask a candidate or a nominee for the position to tell us how they're going to vote on a particular case or a particular type of case. And that's been something that historically the Senate has avoided doing. Recently, it's been creeping back into the conversation. But if we look at the history, especially recent history of the court, if we're to apply a litmus test, for example, on abortion, we would exclude great defenders of life like Justice Clarence Thomas and include some of the justices that were on some of the majority opinions that continued to extend recognizing a putative constitutional right to an abortion. So litmus tests, just as a practical matter, don't work. And also, we need to think long game here. There are a number of issues that are going to be facing the courts in the coming years, and the best bet that we have is to get a justice on there who's going to be faithful to the Constitution, faithful to the intentions of the writers of our federal laws, and really understand the role of a judge and the separation of powers between the legislative and the judicial branches.
Well, Andrea, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate your analysis. Andrea Picciotti-Bayer, director of the Conscious Project. Thank you again.
Thank you, Tracy.